You wanna fight mid? I can come mid.
Fight mid.
Volley-
This is mid.
Volley's
Back up,
gonna
back up.
force
I'm pushing
Varus
up
to
top.
be
Pushing
there.
up top.
Varus will be there. Varus will be there from more away.
They're going in. They went in. They went on
Fine.
Edward. Oh, god, Edward.
Oh, you got the. You got the. You got the.
Cal.
I got hit. He's knocked up.
I'm
Jackie's
coming from the back. Coming from the back.
Can you do anything, Jackie?
Yeah, I can't.
I'm coming from the back.
I'm ulting.
I'm coming from the
Valor's
back.
very low. Valor's
Moving,
very
moving,
low.
moving.
I'm on.
I'm on.
I'm dash. Oracle.
Dead.
He's dead.
I'm on NK.
I'm on NK.
I'm good.
Alright, Chris.
I'm on Chris.
Varus is there. Varus is there. Varus is on the side.
Kill
Kill
him.
I am.
Exhausted.
Nice. Push him in.
I'm keep going. I'm keep going.
You can go. He
healing,
has no ulti. He has no ulti.
Take tower. Take tower.
Guys.
I can move in.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to day 2 of the North American LCS Summer Split. Right now, we're happy to be joined by the triple kill you just saw on screen, Curse's Voyboy. So, dominating people is Tryndamere. Tell me why you grabbed him.
I mean, I've always liked playing Trynd. I remember back in the last split, Zion picked Trynd, and he did really well that game, and I was like, man, this champion is still really, really good. So I picked him up. I think he's really strong, and if you can get ahead with him, he's probably like one of the hardest top lane carries. So he's a blast to play. And I think he really fits my playstyle too, because you can just dive in, just do as much damage as possible, try to kill people, and then you have your ultimate to fall back on in case things get a little messy.
So I have a question for picking him then in a highly competitive LCS team. How much of that was, guys, I just want to play Trynd, and how much of that is like, this is a comp we can run?
I mean, we have sort of different team comps, like champions that we think go well together, but it was mostly just like, I think Trynd is good here. Let's play Trynd.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about Edward and how he's meshing with the team here, because that's obviously what people have been talking about ever since it happened. How much time have you guys actually spent together, and how long do you think until we see like the full Edward Cop bot lane?
Yeah, I mean, Edward, like the transition was really quick. He got picked up by Curse, and he just flew over. We basically got 1 day of practice with him in our full roster, and we had like basically like 4 or 5 scrims, which if you think about how much time it takes to really mesh and adapt and become a solid team, we need a lot more games than that. But as you can see, like things are already working out. I mean, he got some really sick plays there, and I think with time, I think that Cop and Edward have the potential to be the best bot lane in North America. So I just think if we get a few more weeks of practice in, we're going to be coming out like a lot stronger.
Yeah, and I hate to press you on this a bit, but why do you think Cop and Edward specifically can be one of the best bot lanes, aside from just having time together?
I mean, I think Edward he can basically play any support, and he can play it well. The communication is basically all we have to work on, and I think Cop, he knows how to play AD. Like, he plays safe, he plays aggressive when he needs to. There's a lot of he gets a lot of flack, like, oh, Cop's like too passive. But I think if you just give it some time and you see with the aggressive play from Edward, I think Cop can really shine, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Cool. So let's talk about your team in general, because you're coming into the Super Week. You said you have 1 day of practice. You've got a lot of room to grow, but you've got to play 5 games over these 3 days, right? You started with a loss. You looked a lot better here. How much are you learning just every game in LCS right now, even?
Yeah, I mean, starting off with the Super Week is huge. Every team, especially ones who haven't played in the LCS before, it might catch them off guard a little bit, like Velocity. But I think after the first game, we had a tough loss. We're like, all right, guys, we're like a little rusty. We need a little bit of time to practice. But we came out strong here, and I definitely think that we're on an upward climb. I think the next 3 games will be definitely very, very good.
So this week, actually, you've run a lot of different strategies as well. Game 1 was a very routine poke comp with a bunch of long-range guys in Trundle. Here you were like, I just want to play Tryndamere. Can we just do that? Like, what's made you guys so different between these days?
I mean, we have a lot of team comps and champions that we feel have really strong synergy with each other. First game, I mean, our results were very lackluster, but I would mostly attribute that to just us being off our game and playing poorly rather than like the team comp being not something that we definitely worked on and ironed out. So it's definitely something that we might pull again in the future. But I think with time, I think even like in every match, I think we'll just get a lot better, because we've never played competitively as a team. Like, these are our first 2 games with Edward and our whole new setup. So I think things are going to be looking really up.
And do you have any comments specifically with the CLG roster changes? I know you're a former member of CLG. They've completely remade everything again. What do you think of that?
I think the team definitely has potential to become really good. I mean, they didn't have the best game yesterday, but people who jump to like single games, watch them, see like a team perform poorly, and then try to draw results and like make grandeur statements, I think that's really silly. Like, we had a horrible game yesterday, but we're still definitely a top team, and I think we can definitely play way better. And same with CLG. Like, I think they've been practicing pretty hard. Obviously, with everyone playing new roles and stuff, they're going to be a little bit lackluster at the beginning. But I definitely think that GG, he's a really smart player. He's been a veteran of the scene for a long time. And I think he has like the knowledge to be a good jungler. And Chostrom and Double, of course, they're the age-old bot lane. They played really well when I was on the team. We always perform up to par and like in Korea and stuff. And then, of course, Nien, he's often toted like really mechanically skilled player. So I think with time, they're all just going to like balance out. And definitely be a team to beat in North America. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, Voice, so one final question then about your team. You said you've still got some room to grow with that new roster, right? Your new games coming through. We've asked pretty much everyone this question, but I want to get your insight on it. So Reggie said he gave kind of a realistic, like, we're going to go 25-3. He actually said they'd lose some games. Cloud9 says they're going to go 2-26. What's the curse record this split?
I will say 24-4.
24-4.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck in getting the rest of your 3 losses, because I can see a lot of wins in your guys' future.
Thank you.
Voy, thank you very much for the interview, and of course, best of luck in the rest of your games this week in this split. But guys, we got more games coming up here. Yesterday, Counterlogic Gaming played its first LCS match without their leader Hotshot GG in the top lane.
And I actually recently had a chance to sit down with Hotshot and ask him about his reasons for stepping down, the future of CLG, and if he'll ever play professionally again.
I came bottom, and then you're like, oh, it reset, it's fine. And then it started building up.
So Hotshot, as many people know, you've recently stepped down as the top laner for Counterlogic Gaming. Do you want to talk a little bit about that decision?
Yeah, sure. So one of the biggest reasons why I stepped down from top lane is just stress, you know? It gets to you after a while to keep on just playing and playing and playing and playing. You get burnt out. I just wasn't feeling the desire to win as much and the desire to kind of like push myself. And I felt I needed to take a step back and kind of like find that.
Talking to your team about kind of stepping down or even leaving the team is not an easy discussion. Do you want to talk to me about how that happened with your team when you announced to them that you were stepping down?
It wasn't super shocking. I just talked to them and I was like, you know, guys, I'm just not that happy right now. And they knew I was like really stressed all the time because not only am I a player, I'm like the business owner. I'm like the manager of CLG too.
Right.
And everything compounds on each other, and it just gets a little too hectic sometimes.
What's your life been like since you've made the announcement?
My life took a drastic turn, right? I went from having like this routine and the schedule of constantly just practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing to almost nothing.
Are you going to be kind of like an outside coach, an advisor, or are you a main coach?
I'm just an advisor right now, if anything.
Okay.
I'm also prepping for something else.
All right, what's that?
I want to create a challenger team, and I'm scouting out players right now, seeing who's good and who's not good, and also who's dedicated and extremely serious about being on a professional team. And one of the things I want to do with this challenger team is find the right people that really want to succeed.
When you created CLG Black, you look at the old roster of that team, and it's actually just littered with current LCS players. Zuna, Link, Psycho Sid, and Bloodwater. How do you evaluate talent in League of Legends when you're building a team?
I think the most important quality is personality. And everybody has to want to win. Just the desire and the passion to win is by far the most important thing. I've talked to many players across the world, especially players from Azubu Frost.
Yeah.
And they told me that the most important thing, and they agree with me, is just the desire to win. It doesn't matter if this player is 1900 now. He can be anything that he puts himself to.
With all the things you currently have going on, would you consider yourself a retired League of Legends pro player?
I mean, right now I'm not going to claim I'm retired. There's still a part of me that's like uncertain. I think it's just a little bit of finding myself right now. I want to feel really motivated to play again. If like the time comes and I find that passion, then I'm going back in and I'm going to try my best to, you know, succeed and be the best player I can be.
Well, so Hotshot left it up in the air, Jat. What do you think about Hotshot? Do you think he'll actually play again on the pro scene?
So just the general feeling I got from him, just talking to him before and during the interview, was he was very relieved to kind of be done with the professional scene for now. If he does come back as a player, it's going to be in quite a while. He's got to play out his amateur team. He's got to make that challenger team. He wants to experience kind of management and just the League of Legends scene as not a player for a while. So I would say probably not, but there's a small chance he would come back.
All right, and of course, guys, if you want to see more of Jat's interview with Hotshot, you can check out the extended version on lolesports.com. But it's time to get to our second match. It's CounterLogic Gaming versus Dignitas. And now both these teams struggled yesterday, but a win today against one of their oldest rivals would be a really big step into avoiding an early season hole.
Yeah, and Scars actually said he likes beating CLG more than the other teams, mainly because he loves having that trash talk edge against Doublelift. And Dignitas came into yesterday's games feeling pretty good because they had a lot of pre-planned strategies, and that 2 buff steal at level 1 that Dignitas tried against Cloud9 actually worked because they got both of the buffs, but then they couldn't carry it through to the rest of the game. So that's a bit of a morale hit for them, and they're going to have to recover from that and come back big today.
But of course, CLG had their own problems yesterday. Their new lineup had a really slow start against Velocity.
And CLG has stated that these changes weren't expected to bring immediate success. They're doing these changes for the long-term future of the team. But with that being said, they need to improve pretty fast if they want to have a future in the World Playoffs, because this split is only a couple months long, and Nian Tonso struggled specifically in his top lane debut. He still has a lot of work to do. 1-4 on Vladimir is not something he can put up every game, and then also Chowster and Big Fat LP looked quite out of sync. So those guys really have to get comfortable at their new positions if CLG hopes to have a successful split.
Well, we've got to get ourselves into the game pretty soon, so let's check out the lineups for today. On the blue side, it's CounterLogic Gaming. Nian Tonso, that new top laner, Big Fat LP, the new guy in the jungle, Link in the mid lane, Doublelift on AD carry, and Chowster at support.
Yeah, and on the red side, it will be Dignitas. Kiwi Kid's going to be in the top lane. Crumbs is their jungler. Scar is their mid, the all-star from last split. I'm a Cutie Pie, the AD carry with the long, luscious locks, and Patoy, of course, the support.
So we've mentioned these players, but I want to talk about a featured matchup. It's between the AD carries. It's CLG's own all-star Doublelift, and it's Dignitas' I'm a Cutie Pie.
And Cutie Pie is actually a bit of an independent playmaker. Dignitas doesn't rely on him to carry to victory, but CLG definitely relies on Doublelift to carry. They build team comps around him. They expect him to farm up everywhere, and if Doublelift goes down or fails, the team doesn't win. So in this matchup specifically, if I'm a Cutie Pie goes even with Doublelift, it generally signals a Dignitas victory.
It's going to be interesting to see how that actually plays out because we don't even see 2v2 matchups that often.
No.
So it's kind of like, it's like almost can Voy keep down, not Voy, sorry, I'm thinking like 2 years back when he was on Dignitas. But can Kiwi Kid almost keep down Doublelift? And you typically don't in a 1v2.
Yeah, well, I mean, CLG has like 3 teams in the LCS at this point, so we don't have to, the confusion is merited in that case.
Sure.
And it isn't necessarily about the 1v1 matchup unless the teams really decide to go for it, but it's still about just which team can funnel more farm into their AD carry, and CLG is going to try to funnel more farm into their AD carry. It's just a matter of if Cutie Pie somehow keeps up with that, it's probably just going to be easy win for them.
So different picks going to come through between these guys, and of course, the long-time sort of rivalry is fun to watch as well. Just teams that perform when they know we're against these guys, we're going to bring out something special.
And Dignitas and CLG have had kind of that history between each other. Even going back to the Season 2 regional finals, Dignitas is kind of who almost dethroned CLG and made CLG start realizing their kind of own mortality, just based off the multiple CLG documentaries that have been released over the past week. CLG felt super confident off their trip to Korea only to be knocked down by Dignitas. So there's a big history between CLG and Dignitas battling each other. Oftentimes in tournaments, Dignitas would actually beat CLG, knock him in a loser's bracket, and then CLG would come back and knock out Dignitas. So they're always close games.
They would just trade maps back and forth, and it was fun going back into when you had those tournaments, right, where they're every couple of months, and you'd go back over the last couple of months' results, and you'd see who beat whom, and kind of dredge up those old grud matches. And they play each other so often now. It's funny to watch, right, when you have very recent lots of results, right? We had 4 games over the last 3 months of Scar versus CounterLogic Game, and we're like, he's gone a little bit positive in those games, but it's fun that you kind of have those grudge matches a little bit more often. You get to keep up with it.
And even in this game specifically, Link versus Scar in the mid lane, those guys are actually really good friends. And Scar was one of the people who respected Link the most before Link decided to join CLG. And of the CLG players yesterday that were performing well, Link, in their defeat to Velocity, was doing spectacularly on Orianna. His farm in lane was like plus 40 compared to his opponent, and it was him and Doublelift that were just kind of like trying to two-man the world, but it just wasn't working out.
Yeah, well, hopefully that CLG fans out there can get themselves a team composition out there that works a little bit better. They can keep Doublelift from getting hit, because we actually saw, when you look back at the game, there was a lot of effort spent actually in ganking Doublelift. He was actually the core focus of their opponents.
Oftentimes it was ganking for Doublelift too, and it just wasn't working out because they tried multiple Sejuani plus Thresh Lantern ganks, and that's why we talked earlier about Chouster and Big Fat LP being out of sync, because those were not elegant ganks. Oftentimes, Sejuani would just kind of dash into a creep or not click the Lantern just right, and that kind of textbook, well-executed Lantern gank wasn't there yet. So you can tell these guys have a lot of practice and time and fine-tuning to make these things work.
All right, well, we're about to get ourselves in a champion select. All 10 players are in. The go has been signaled, and it is go time here. Counter Logic Gaming on the blue side, Dignitas in the red. We got ourselves a game here. Early bands coming out, Rise and Twisted Fate.
And these are staying fairly consistent right now. The Kazakhs, of course, got played by Reginald, and then get out of there, man. You're not allowed in these games anymore is what it seemed like. Jace being banned as well. These bans are going very quick, and I feel like because we've been on the 3.7 patch on live for so long, which is what we're playing this tournament on, there's been a bit of time for these guys to kind of agree on what they think shouldn't be played.
It's interesting, too, because there's so little scouting available for Nian and Big Fat LP. It's hard to tell what their champion rosters even are. They go for the Sejuani ban saying, okay, you do play Sejuani. We'll ban that out this time. But there's just so many unknowns. You don't really see top lane bans against CLG.
No, not yet, especially.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what Nian really brings to the table. Plus, until Nian Tanso shows that he can actually hold his own against top laners, they're not going to bother wasting bans on him, and they're just going to go for other avenues. At this point, they've put bans really against Big Fat LP because the majority of his jungling has been on Sejuani.
All right, so the Karthus, though, is going to be the first grab. So it's a bit of a target there against Scar. Going to give that over to Link. Now it's Dignitas' turn to make some choices for themselves.
I like the fact that CLG is actually going for Karthus. I've heard Link in the past actually complain about Karthus and saying, no matter how much I play him, I will never feel confident in landing Qs. And they kind of had an argument back and forth, and it turns out that, like, you have to be confident with missing occasional Qs because no one can optimize them 100% on Karthus. And if Link is willing to try those things, to me it shows that CLG is trying to evolve a little bit.
That's fun to see. I always like when teams, open up with new strategies. Curse said, Voidboy a second ago said, yeah, we ran a poke comp once, we ran a different comp here. We have them all prepared. It's not about the comp. It's about, just us playing up to our game. And when they have multiple things prepared, you're always much more adaptable. So Dignitas, they're going to have to make their own adaptations. And they grab Zac, they grab Kennen.
Yeah.
Though that looks pretty reminiscent of yesterday's games.
And I really want to see what Kiwi Kids Kennen is like, because this is looking a bit like a Cloud9 composition that they would have ran yesterday. Kennen dominated the games yesterday after really not being a champion much seen in North America for a really long time. Kennen has been making a huge resurgence over in the OGN leagues in Korea. Specifically for the last couple of months, he's been either banned or like early pick worthy, and I feel like that's definitely transitioning over to NA. I just wonder how much practice Kiwi Kids had on it.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of these guys have done well without playing it much. Chris said, yeah, I don't play it much. I grabbed it as kind of a steal, and I did amazingly. And Ambition at the All-Star game said, yeah, I don't really play Kennen either, but heck, it worked. So maybe these guys just have those old school instincts for it. CLG with 10 seconds left to make their own choices. They've grabbed Elise, they've grabbed Nocturne, so some assassins here.
Yeah, this is a much different CLG composition.
Yeah.
Just right off the bat. First off, the jungler isn't a peeler, which is new. The Elise could be going anywhere, plus that's an assassin. And Karthus is high damage, so that's already 3 threats. And we haven't picked Double as champion yet.
No.
New ground.
They're saving it for now. Cutie Pie is actually, it's his turn to make some choices. I feel like the day I see Cutie Pie play Vayne is the day Double plays Draven. I feel like that's about as opposite as you get for those guys.
I mean, Cutie Pie has played Vayne in the past. I've seen it.
Okay.
I specifically remember actually winning a tournament with him on Vayne. But that was so long ago.
IPL 3?
Yeah, it was IPL 3. But he played a lot of Vayne back then.
Okay.
It's I feel like Cutie Pie actually plays a lot of different AD carries. He's one of the more versatile, and they decide not to pick an AD carry. That's fine.
All right, they're delaying him here, but the Sona has been grabbed up for Patoy and Skara. He didn't bat out his champions. He got the Diana.
I'm really glad to see that, actually. Yeah. Skara had Diana available yesterday in their game, and he decided not to pick it. And when Scar's on Diana, Dignitas just seems to win games. I actually feel like he's trying to distance himself from that champion, because every time, like, he got into a bit of a funk last split, because when a Kayle or Diana was up for him, he would take it.
Yes.
And then by the end of the season, teams were like, nope. And he hadn't practiced any tourney-ready other champions because it was so easy for him to get Diana, but for the good of the team, he's picking it.
Okay, so he's back on that, the big playmaker initiator. We've seen when a comfortable mid gets on Diana, Reginald, Scar, they just tend to make things happen. And Dignitas looking for their first win here. They've got the chance. It's Scar, Diana, like that's almost like Scar or Gragas. You see it so much here. Counterlogic Gaming making their own choices, and they've gone for the Graves Janna. So new lane here.
Yeah, I feel like this is a bit of return to comfort for them. I feel like when Doublelift and Chouster played together back in Season 2, this was one of the lanes they picked, and this is one of the supports specifically Chouster's had practice on. Thresh will fit Chouster once he learns him, but because he's had such a small amount of time on support, his Thresh was not ideal yesterday.
Yeah.
And even though Thresh is not picked or banned this time, going for Janna is a much safer and smarter thing for Chouster.
So, a bit more defensive setup then for that CLG group, at least as far as their backline is concerned. The rest of them are going to freaking go all in, so that was a bit of a lie for me. But the final picks have gone through for Dignitas. They've grabbed Varus, so I'm going to go ahead and say they have a lot of crowd control in Dignitas.
A little bit, I'd have to say. Kind of everyone has kind of everyone has a large way, so anyone on that team actually has the ability to start a fight, which could mean Dignitas might roam around a lot and really just take it on, but picking a kind of everyone AoE crowd control into a Janna may or may not work for them. It's a strange combination of CLG having disengage plus Dignitas having a lot of crowd control, yet CLG doesn't have a super like hyper mobile comp because they still have the Karthus in there. It is a dangerous but strange looking composition for CLG.
There's so many weird factors here too, because I want to keep talking about that a little bit. So certainly Chouster could knock people back, but Big Fat and Nian want to go in on people. Like in onto a Kennen, Zac, Diana, Sona, Varus. Ugh.
It's a lot of champion names.
Yeah.
We're going to have to see how it goes down.
It's going to be rough. We'll see how it pans out. Different comps here for sure. And it's going to be time for the first win for one of these two teams. Whoever can pull it out. Counterlogic Gaming and Dignitas got to pull themselves up from the bottom of the standing. You look at CLG right now, and you see Dig. Both these guys are going to feel confident coming in here. See if they can make it happen.
And I feel like Dignitas will have more confidence in CLG. Even in the interviews, CLG is kind of resigning themselves to say, hey guys, it's going to take us a while to develop here. We got to remember 3 new roles. 60% of the team is playing something new for CLG. You can't just do that and play professionally. You can't just swap roles and be good in a week. Our game is not easy.
No.
So it takes time for them to be able to set in, and going up against Dignitas is hard.
I mean, the game isn't easy. I mean, even High was misclicking his ultimate randomly in the game, so can't even count Cloud9 out of that one. They won their game. So Dignitas making their way out of the base on the red side. CLG making their way out on the blue. We're here into Game 2, Day 2 here. Game number 8 overall in the LCS Summer Split. Big Fat LP spots some enemies. He's going to run back away from Scar and Cutie Pie.
Yeah, the rush out the mid lane often gives you early vision to people, but Chouster, you got to turn back at some point, dude.
Oh my gosh, the damage output on him. He just walks right through them the whole way and just falls.
That wasn't good. That was not good at all. That was a death by CLG right there. He just, either he wasn't completely focused on his screen or he decided that he needed to escape after it was too late, and he ended up just not burning his summoner spells because he knew he was dead anyway. That's a really good start for Dignitas. Kiwi Kid getting that early kill on Kennen, if he ends up 1v1 against Niantanso, is not going to make his new top lane compadre any happier.
Yeah, and he started with a Doran's Blade, so now he can actually run some consumables in the setup if he wanted it. And he just grabs some wards there, buying for the team. Kiwi Kid turning his money into vision.
That will be trouble. I almost feel like Dignitas just has to 2v1 Kiwi Kid at this point, because if Niantanso has to go 1v1 against that with denied ward vision, it is kind of setting him up to fail, but that does look like what CLG has planned here.
Okay, so Chouster and Doublelift taking up the double golem in vision of a scout orb. That's not going to mean too much for them. Going to start that one off happily. Niantanso and Big Fat LP up in the top lane. That seems to be working pretty well for them. That's going to go down and not going to have a decent start. Meanwhile, Crumb's getting his red buff with the help from Kiwi Kid.
Yeah, Dignitas is going to have an early advantage in almost every lane. Scar was able to take the Wraiths, which gives him experience advantage. Kiwi Kid obviously had the aforementioned First Blood. And then the only lane that doesn't have a big edge is the bottom lane for Dignitas, but they still got Wolves as CLG got the double golem, so there's no huge XP advantage either way.
Okay, so let's take a look at these matchups then, because, man, we have not seen just a direct 1-1-2 like full solo queue lineup in forever in LCS, and we've got one here. Link fighting Scar 1v1 in mid.
And I want to see how that plays out, whether or not Link can harass Scarra back. Scarra started with the Crystalline Flask and a lot of potions, so Link is going to spam his heart out trying to keep him back, but early on he's not able to stop Scarra from farming.
And meanwhile, we see this bottom lane down here. They've got the sustain from the Sona here. Link actually, taking some damage. Crumb's safe in his jungle. All right, they're all right. So the bottom lane here, early pink ward by Patoy. They've pushed down. They've now started denying vision against CLG.
Yeah, and Jan is not a strong early laner, whereas Sona is quite powerful early, so it will be a little bit of time before Doublelift can start turning a bit aggressive. When Doublelift gets, say, around level 5, and he gets to buckshot people with that Janna shield, it's going to really start hurting Dignitas, but I don't think the lane's going to have too much action before then. So
right now he's got to learn to last hit under a turret as the lane pushes towards him. Link, though, looking for a bit of a move against Scar as the lane was pushed down towards him. Crumbs takes his raise. That's going to be safe. Big Fat was looking for a gank but couldn't find the opening. He's going to go back to his own jungle.
Yeah, not the worst, because Scar was pushing up quite far, and if Scar would have overcommitted, it would have opened up a free gank for Big Fat LP, but because they ran into Crumbs, it just showed him that he had to go back to his jungle. I think that was a good movement by Big Fat LP, just a little bit unfortunate.
Doublelift nearly dodging the hail of arrows right there, but does still take the damage. He's got to rely on that Doran's Blade sustain, but to his credit, he's fighting a bunch of pokers with a non-healer, and he's doing okay. Big Fat LP waiting around to the wings. Looks like he's trying to defend Niantanso under his turret, but he's not sharing any XP or anything.
And that lane is going to be quite painful. You can already see Niantanso is avoiding death, but 22 to 8 as the wave is kind of just dying to his turret. Niantanso cannot safely farm against Kiwi Kid's Kennen.
Yeah, it looks like actually a ward was pinged out in the top lane. Big Fat wanted to gank, and he was like, no, there's a ward there. Just let me suffer down here. Go look for something else. So, yeah, he's been looking for openings. Big Fat's been looking for ganks, and he hasn't found them just yet. Doublelift has to last hit under a turret. He's doing that well, but you look at his turret, it's actually losing a bit of health to this Cutie Pie Patoy push.
I don't think that's enough health to really sound any alarms yet. Unless Doublelift and Chelsea have a really bad back syncing, they're going to be completely fine with that stuff. Doublelift is the lane that is kind of working despite the first blood that was given up by Chowster for CLG.
And his minion farm definitely is lining up right here. So level 4 on the AD carries. Chowster has gone back. He went back first, grabbed a Ruby Crystal, and otherwise kept his lane pretty safe. Big Fat LP came around to help make sure the turret didn't go down, and looks like they did do that successfully.
Still looking a little bit out of sync here. Big Fat LP's Nocturne ganks are very difficult to pull off pre-6, especially when your team gives up first blood to the enemy. It just means the ward coverage is expanded, and Big Fat LP just needs to focus on farming and getting level 6. I wouldn't be too surprised if Big Fat LP starts trying to take some lane experience just so we can get to level 6 sooner and have a bit of presence.
Okay, well, so far he is 4, but not very close to 5 in the meantime. We'll see if he can get himself to that 6 that he's been looking for. Niantanso, though, we look at him, and he's still having a bit of a rough time getting zoned out somewhat against Kiwi Kid. Thing is, he doesn't know if Crumbs is in a brush somewhere. He's playing very, very far back in this lane.
And CLG's ward coverage is a little bit subpar. The way that Crumbs could approach this is kind of just right through this tri-brush. If he walks down into the river, he will be exposed, but this is going to deny Niantanso a lot of minions because the wave is pushed up far enough up top that Niantanso can't get close.
Oh my gosh, and look at that. He's like, I see a minion. We saw this actually not too long ago. The minion's taunting him, saying, I'm worth gold, come click on me. But there's a jungle waiting around. Thankfully for Nian, he does know that Crumbs is around. He's just trying to waste time, I guess.
Exactly. At this point, Niantanso is just trying to keep Crumbs interested because he's going to deny himself these creeps. And it's hopefully allowing the rest of CLG to get some farm potential, but they're just not able to right now. Link's still farming at his turret, and Doublelift still farming at his turret.
Yeah,
push back.
Yeah, but Kiwi Kid has hit 6, and that's the really big break point that might just scare these guys. There's the pink ward put down. He's like, yeah, you really did just waste 3 minutes of your time trying to sit in that brush. So, you know, Nian might have flashbacks of a level 6 of very, very scary Kennen, but at the very least for this guy, he is holding on, has not fallen over in the lane.
Not entirely, but 48 to 22 is pretty close to disaster. As there's the level 5 Janna Shield buckshot trade being attempted by Doublelift, and it's countered quite well by Dignitas.
Good heals back there by Patoy, good counter engage as well. And now, but finally for these CLG guys, there's actually some minions here on their side. They're actually pushing towards the enemy turret. They've even got a 3 minion kill lead for now. Yeah,
they're trying to shove this lane up as fast as possible because Doublelift wants to. Actually, he only has 600 gold. I'm surprised Doublelift went through his mana so quickly since he doesn't really have enough gold to shop. They might lose a lot of pressure in that lane pretty soon here since I'm a Cutie Pie and Patoy have very good mana resources right now.
And in fact, 2 members of Dignitas are coming down as well. Look, Crumbs and Scar are both looking for an opportunity here.
Look out, Big Fat LP. No.
Ooh, no one saw themselves, and Scar says, you know, there's not really an opening here. Double and Chowster have gone back, so there's senses they're instincts that, hey, hold on, something's not right here, someone's coming, are still there. And again, they're holding up in that lane despite that first blood, as you mentioned.
And a lot of this is the fact that Doublelift ran himself out of mana. He's decided not to go back because Dignitas is kind of pushing back, but it is a dangerous lane right now for CLG. Big Fat LP is in a good position for a counterattack, but they got to be very cautious here.
Okay, so there is Crumb standing on a ward. Big Fat LP looking for a counter gank, but Scar's coming down. There's a knock-up attempt. Double gets a shield and just dodges away from that one. Crumbs picks up a blob of himself, 41 health. He's going to be fine, and Scara has to turn back around.
One thing I think CLG's kind of banking on is that Link will have that Karthus ultimate to come in, as long as he's staying safe from Scar, which he is, since Scar is spending so much time roaming around, and it's allowing Doublelift to kind of stick around when he doesn't have business, but he's losing farm because of it. That farm was very close a couple minutes ago, and now he's down about 16 to I'm a Cutie Pie.
So you can see that lane getting frozen at just the, not even frozen, but just getting turned around at just the right time. He's pushing back onto the turret now. Double's going to try to get some of this back. Oh, Big Fat LP warms him up for him and says, great, just last hit those, thankfully. Down 8 still, though. The mid lanes are close, and we just have kind of an extended laning phase here for the CLG group.
And as extended as it is, it's not working out very well, because it's a 1,400 gold lead for Dignitas. 600 of that gold was from the first blood that Chouster unfortunately gave up near the dragon. And CLG hasn't been able to recover from that, nor have they really tried to make plays.
Yeah, every single time it's been just blocked out by a ward from Dignitas. Big Fat LP has now finally hit level 6. The time might be here for him to make some big moves on Nocturne. He's got the red buff. We might start seeing some CLG movements.
It's hard to gank a lane without any preemptive pressure, though. No one on Dignitas has had to burn any summoner spells, so the action is very low. Really, the first gank that Big Fat LP throws out is most likely just going to be to burn summoner spells, and you won't be able to get anything until the next gank. And with the pace of this game, it might not come in time. This has been a very slow farming game for the first 9.5 minutes.
And right now, it's another ward that Crumbs is standing upon. Both Nian and KiwiKid have been just pushing pink wards down back and forth. Another one goes down. Now Crumbs gets to finally be in the fog of war. The war on fog has been doing a little bit better here for Dignitas now. Crumbs, they don't know if he's there. Spiderling comes across. Nian knows he's there. Man, I mean, his instincts are good, at least for watching for junglers.
Yeah, he's been able to tell. As well, the pink ward got cleared out, so he pretty much just had to decide to scout in there. He knows he's going to be screwed this game, which is kind of why we haven't seen Big Fat LP up there in a while. And he's trying to just survive and hoping the rest of the team does something. But it looks like Dignitas is quite contented just taking these small lane advantages and forcing CLG to make a play, and then I think Dignitas wants to be ready for a counterattack.
Well, Double right now has no mana. I can't see them getting a real battle here. A lot of CC goes off on a Cutie Pie that looks like they're going to wave clear it out. This might be to give Doublelift the recall. 1,500 gold. He's close to BF, but not quite there.
He definitely wants to wait for that BF. Once he has it, his spells will be doing huge amounts of damage. Graves has pretty good AD ratios, and it's exemplified by the Janus shield as well, or amplified by the Janus shield as well, when he's able to get that one out. But the lane has not been going ideally for him yet.
No, it hasn't. And look at that. Dignitas are still putting pressure on the bottom half of the map. Crumbs puts a pink ward down immediately. Chouster says, or actually, it's Big Fat saying, I know you're trying to do something here, but it gets cleared out. And Dignitas making the first move outside the laning phase, going for a dragon.
And this is good timing, because you can tell Dignitas in the bottom lane was calling out, hey, Doublelift is waiting to go back to base. He is not shopped. Let's make something happen while he's low on mana with no items. Easy dragon, because they knew CLG had no business contesting that one.
Absolutely. So, Double back to base. Still the gold lead, of course, stretching for Dignitas. 2,500 gold. Finally, some items coming through for this bottom lane might turn things around for that CLG group. Scara, though, you look at his farm, 121, holding up completely against a Link Karthus, despite even trying to roam.
Yeah, both these guys are doing a pretty good job of, I think, farming a bit of jungle as well as just getting every minion in the mid lane. I think because Scar went for the Negatron Cloak so early, as well as the Crystalline Flask, the harass potential by Link is just really low in that lane, which is making them both kind of adapt and say, all right, we're just going to hit minions now.
Just going to hit some minions. So in contrast to one of the earlier Karthus builds we saw from Mandatory Cloud, it is the Tier Roa build here from Link, so he'll be having a nice large amount of mana, and he'll try to scale throughout this game as he levels up.
And Big Fat LP is really trying to make something happen here. He's been having some happy feet back and forth inside Dignitas' jungle for a while now. He doesn't know if the opportunity is for a KiwiKid gank or a Scar gank, and for now he's just kind of taking some jungle. He needs to make up his mind, otherwise they're losing pressure.
Now he's at least taken away some of those double golems. Scar makes his way back in for, I'm going to assume, the Wraiths, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to take that, thanks very much. Give me that gold nicely. KiwiKid, though, still chugging in this top lane. He's now built himself a 40 minion kill lead, so that is the most dominant lane here for sure for Dignitas.
And it was expected to be because of the first blood, also due to Nian's inexperience in the top lane. But the most experienced top laners will tell you if you're up against a Kennen in the first place, it's a hard lane, let alone a Kennen that starts with pink wards to deny you vision. That is not an easy situation for Nian to enter into.
All right, so naysayers for Nian, keep it down a little bit. Definitely a rough matchup no matter what here. The poke still coming across though in the bottom lane. Cutie Pie and Patoy keeping it very strong. But Nian's going to get jumped on right here. Flashes away, puts the rappel up as well. It's the let's bounce at perfect timing. Nian Thompson going to go down. Kiwi Kid grabs the kill, but here's the initiation back onto Patoy. The Requiem as well. Do they have the damage they need? The Fear Tether goes off. This could be the answered kill. There's one picked up. The knock into the wall. Cutie Pie getting chased down. Will it be enough? Big Fat has his shield. Flash comes off. He's going to get away, but at least they get the trade kill.
And everything kind of happens at once. I feel like once Crumbs ganked top lane, it just gave Big Fat LP the confidence to know that no matter what, that bottom gank wouldn't get turned around against them since they had the Requiem to support it. Getting the kill, the double lift, is the champion they want to give it to for CLG, and Nian was behind anyway, so CLG is very okay with that exchange.
All right, so Counterlogic Gaming gets a bit of pressure onto that bottom turret, but it's really Dignitas who wins the war of that trade. They've taken down that top turret there. Kiwi Kid and Crumbs making that one happen. The bottom turret took barely any damage from double lift, so not a lot of pressure made on the objectives there.
I feel like that turret was going to be dead anyway, though, just because Nian had been getting punished for so long.
Okay.
I would just want to see Kiwi Kid score at the end of this game because we saw when Psycho Sid got going early on Kennen yesterday against Voibo with his first blood. I think he ended, what, like 9-0-5 or something?
Something close to that, yeah.
And Kiwi Kid seems to be well on his way for this, already having that needlessly large rod just built, plus a Haunting Guise. Really dangerous now wherever he goes for that next ultimate. Probably like the next dragon or something.
It's interesting, too, because they've already got the Abyssal Scepter, so the amount of magic resist shred there from Magic Pen, Abyssal, and all that is going to make life real difficult for the CLG lineup. Doublelift, though, has plenty of attack damage. He's stacking the Bloodthirster, and he's going to try to turn things around. As we've said, CLG, it's kind of the Doublelift show, and at the very least, he's not too terribly far behind, and again, they got him that kill.
And he's able to pick up the Bloodthirster, so once he stacks that up, which he has some time to now as the minion waves of his turret, he should get going, but the rest of CLG's team is just in quite a poor predicament because the Aegis user is what you need to get completed against a double AP team, especially one that rushes an Abyssal Scepter to deal with some of that magic resistant shred. But a Nocturne doesn't necessarily build an Aegis well as an early first item. Big Fat LP does not have the gold income to do anything of the sort, and CLG is not going to be in good hands when the next dragon comes up around 2 minutes from now.
Man, so the team fights have been good for Dignitas. We're going to hope that Big Fat can convert himself into a little bit more of a tank because, you know, whether he does it normally or not, it seems like that has to be the build for these guys. Deadlift getting his shield, trying to lifesteal back up. I mean, it's funny to watch that lane because we see very little happen ultimately with these guys. That just the 10 minion kill lead, then it gets turned back over and over again. It's Link farming out. CLG, you know, they have the Nocturne coming up soon. Maybe they get another engage soon. But that's not going to come in time. Scar is going to take down another turret for Dignitas.
And it's slowly creeping up, this lead for Dignitas. They're completely content taking the game like this. They have played so many times against CLG's kind of passive style when CLG's just trying to stall out, that Dignitas recognizes when they're slowly out-farming CLG, and they're just going to continue doing it. CLG has no lane pressure right now. All of Dignitas' turrets are completely healthy, so Dignitas will keep chipping away at these CLG turrets until CLG does something, and if they never do something, Dignitas will just win.
They'll just win. They'll play. I mean, we talked about how that's how Dignitas tends to win games, is playing the laning phase for a long time. That's really exactly what's happening here. The jump's going to go on a Big Fat LP. The knockup blocked by the Spell Shield. Devil's going to get hit by Let's Bounce, but actually makes him whiff the Tendril of Corruption. But Devil's just so caught out right now. Engaged from Diana, and another kill's picked up. Dignitas 3-1.
And those are the types of ganks that Dignitas can set up since none of CLG's lanes are pushed. Scar completely got to shove it up, and now Link is trying to shove out, but look at that turret in the mid lane. It's barely taken any hits, whereas Kiwi Kid is pushing the Intenso back, potentially going in for a kill again.
Oh, that's
CLG has to do something drastic.
Very clutch stun at the very least by Niantanso, keeping Kiwi Kid from taking him down, but if he didn't land the cocoon, that would have been another kill picked up in just a straight duel right here. So you're seeing, again, how well Dig are playing this game, and it's Patoy and Cutie Pie just pushing into this bottom lane. They've got Crumbs nearby in the jungle. Heck, they're claiming CLG's jungle.
And they can at this point. I don't think I've seen a CLG person past the halfway point of the map for more than a couple seconds. Big Fat LP spent a bit of time in the Dignitas jungle and then just decided to back away, and this is just giving objectives, gold, and freedom to the rest of Dignitas as they may be trying to take another dragon. Big Fat LP does have his Nocturne ultimate up to potentially steal. That's why Dignitas may be backing away.
Well, CLG finally taking a stand this time around, though, right? There's Big Fat LP making his way over. There's not a lot of ward coverage over the dragon, but that's okay. CLG says, look, we got to stop bleeding things away. We've got to group up. Link, you've got a global, no big deal. Go ahead and take that one down. They know Kiwi Kid can't leave top lane, so Nian can stay there, and they'll fight the 4v4. They're trying to hold on to this objective.
And one of the saving graces for Dignitas right now is Link is farming quite well. 201 farm at 17 minutes and 50 seconds is awesome. But a lot of it comes at the cost of Big Fat LP's Nocturne farm, who looks to be rushing just a straight-up tank Nocturne, and means that their multiple threats are turning into fewer and fewer threats as Big Fat LP tries to go in.
Going to try to jump in onto Scar. The Fear Tether going off onto Crumbs. He's going to jump away from that one as well. Actually, no, does get feared at the end of that one, but all they can really do is burn Scar's flash. Not the worst thing, but now Big Fat has no ultimate.
And the Dragon is still an objective. Kiwi Kid and Nian Tanso meet each other in the top lane, which means maybe a 4v4 will sprawl out in this bottom lane Dragon. All ultimates up for this fight, aside from Nocturne's Paranoia. Let's see if they go in for this one. It looks like CLG wants to.
They're going to jump right in onto Link. A lot of damage coming across there, but at least Karthus dying is not the worst thing in the world. Chowser taking a whole bunch of pain, flashes away. Here comes Requiem, can double do enough damage. Scar falls over. Crumbs drop low, but Cutie Pie might be chasing down Crumbs. No health, but of course he will just split apart, gets healed anyway. Here comes Nian Tanso, the stun onto Cutie Pie. They trade another 1-for-1. 2-for-2 in this battle. Kiwi Kid is around, does have ulti. Nian still chasing. This could be risky for him. There is a cannon, and he is a ninja as well.
Hey, we said that the strong point of CLG was that Link had gotten a lot of farm, and he did work in that fight. He died first, but Dignitas sat inside of that Requiem and took a whole bunch of damage. A 2-for-2. If CLG doesn't concede the Dragon here, it will be a great trade for him. This is a dangerous take attempt by Dignitas.
They just dive in on Kiwi, and the repel dodges everything. Nian with a beautiful play. He 1v3'd and won a Dragon, and this could give CLG their own objective here. Nian, that was sick.
That was awesome. It got Kiwi Kid to burn his ultimate, most importantly, and survival in the lane, not giving it up, and then trying to rely on his team fight mechanics. Nian Tanso doesn't have the laning down yet, but he still knows how to team fight, and those are the mechanical skills that Hotshot and the rest of CLG were talking about when they were talking about why they selected Nian Tanso for that top lane.
All right, so finally a shining light for the CLG group, and by the way, Doublelift does have all 3 kills from the team, so even though the game has looked dire, Counterlogic Gaming certainly just might have the counter in mind right here. Skara grabbing his blue buff, Grum's gonna grab the red. Finally, CLG have gotten their own Dragon.
Yeah, they're keeping themselves barely afloat with that play. If that Dragon fight would have went any worse, I think the game would have been sealed at only the 20-minute mark, but because they came out with such a good result, they get to survive. This is about every game comes down to Doublelift having all the kills, so this is not to be new. Teams do know how to close on a Doublelift, and since everyone on Dignitas has a way of initiating or a way of engaging, Doublelift has to be extremely careful. At least he does have the cleanse and a Janus, so we'll see how the rest of this plays out.
Well, right now, Dignitas still think that they are the team with the upper hand. They push in, they want to tower dive onto Link. A little bit of damage going on to him, but they force him off the turret. This could be all they need to bring down the structure. Down to 2/3 health, and everyone is grouped up. CLG, they're looking a little bit close, and the shield's going to make Dignitas actually back off. They've held onto the structure.
And it's already 3 turrets to 0. So CLG has to keep holding these turrets. If they're getting 4 turrets, 5 turrets, 6 turrets to 0, they're really just dropping themselves out of the game. Surprisingly, though, the 2,250 gold that those turrets are giving Dignitas is pretty close to the change in this game. So as much as CLG's been kind of pushed back, their minion farm and their jungle farm has remained on par with Dignitas. So if something miraculous happens and CLG gets the turrets back, they're going to pull this game even.
Okay, so CLG looking to bring that one to the late game. Really the old school sort of CLG style.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah, right?
CLG's going for the late game.
Bringing it back to the laning phase and go for the 50 minutes. So here we go. CLG now making their move towards the mid lane. They want a turret finally on the scoreboard. The 0 looks ugly. They want to make that not a goose egg anymore, but Kiwi Kid is around the wall. He has flash and slicing Maelstrom. The stun is there, and here they go! The damage output is on, but the immediate disengage. Chowser knocked him over a wall! Oh my god!
Janna ult made the play, and now CLG continues to press on.
And they're going to get Cutie Pie as well. Link picking up 2 kills, and Chowster knew it all along.
He positioned himself closer to the wall, I feel like. I forget exactly the way the knockback on Monsoon works, but he got him right back over, and that was clearly intentional. So for the huge misplay that Chowster made at the start of the game, he somewhat made up for it with that, specifically just stopping Kiwi Kid from getting in there. turret plus kills for Dignitas or CLG pulls them even in the game and 2,000 gold back.
Chat, we have a replay of that fight. Please just show us how awesome that was again.
Yeah, so in this fight, Kennen tries to come into the fight, and Chelstra says no. I think that's mainly what happens. Look, the ult, right as he gets stunned, too. If a fraction of a second later, he wouldn't have gotten that ult off. Then they get the wall on I'm a Cutie Pie.
Yeah.
Big Fat jumps over the wall, they pop the exhaust, and they get a 2-for-0 plus turret. That's a huge amount of gold back for them.
All right, absolutely. Some massive plays right here. Dignitas now realize it's 5-5, 2,000 gold lead. It's Dignitas' turn to really turn it back up and make things happen again. So let's take a look at where we are. Niantonso trying to hold up in his lane right here. Dignitas holding on to the mid lane. This game is, I guess we just had an explosive team fight, but it's slowed back down for a short time. See where these guys go next.
Yeah, the comeback is in the process right now for CLG because they were down a whole bunch. We just saw Curse actually have a comeback against Velocity. This one, CLG was down a lot more. They did not show any signs of life for the first 18 minutes of this game.
No.
But in the last 5, they are mounting quite a good comeback.
You've got to think about Dignitas, too, because they just straight up outlane the opposition, right? The game starts and they were like, bam, advantage, advantage, advantage. Their bottom lane won, their top lane won. They had turrets, they were controlling the jungle, everything was going right. They had this game in so many good places, and then they just had like 2 bad team fights in a row suddenly.
And it's been one of the curses of Dignitas throughout the spring split as well, was their inability to close out some games. The way they were winning is by out-farming and split pushing, and if that didn't work, Dignitas didn't really have any other strategies or avenues for closing out games, and this is somewhat happening again. They still have a lead, so it could still happen, but this is the Achilles heel of Dignitas.
Okay, so I'm a Cutie Pie trying to get his farm up. Actually, we don't see it often, but it's actually Infinity Edge Varus. You almost always see Blade of the Ruin King or Bloodthirster, yeah.
Very often you'll see a Blade of the Ruin King or a Bloodthirster, but I'm a Cutie Pie as well as Wild Turtle oftentimes will go for the Infinity Edge rush on Varus. A lot of times they do that if they're maxing the E instead of Q, since they don't care as much about the AD ratio, and they're more caring about just like zoning and slowing, and specifically going late game. The Infinity Edge will multiply better.
Okay, so some late game potential definitely there for I'm a Cutie Pie. Scar's going to go in on a Link, and Big Fat LP 1 versus 2 does not care, forces the Fear Tether, but not much else. Just walks out of that one pretty safe.
That was mainly just harass onto Link since Scar knew he had backup in the form of Patoy, and it gives them some time to go in and control this area with the Oracles as Patoy walks through. I wonder if CLG is going to try to catch a fight here, because they might have some confidence knowing they pulled this game fairly close.
What's the next move in the playbook for Dignitas? They've got a bit of a mid-game lead. Actually, Crumb's just going in for some harassment. He's going to take a bunch of punishment here. Nasty's going to have to get him away from that fear, but he's getting pretty low on health. Has to burn Let's Bounce. Team the bit
there goes Big Fat.
He goes in, the Slicing Maelstrom off as well. A lot of damage on a Big Fat LP, forcing the Nocturne away. The Verisol coming across. Everybody Link low on health, forced to just run in there, but they picked up 1 kill for 1 so far, 2-1. The damage still coming across. Cutie Pie very, very low. This could be a lot right there. They're forcing Zac into Bloblets. Now Scar in a duel with Doublelift. Double's going to win that fight, and only the Zac Blobs remain. 4 kills for 2.
A steamroll by CLG in that fight. I feel like Crumbs' jump in was very ill-advised. He spent the majority of his Let's Bounce getting out of there, and it just meant that Dignitas had no presence in that fight. Nobody got to double it, despite everyone having the capability to. And then Niantonso just zoned out the rest of the team, while Link died in the perfect spot. So things going right for CLG here as the team fight phase erupted.
So that's brought the turret lead close as well. The gold actually now up for Counter Logic Gaming. Nian even steals the blue away. The dragon's up, but looks like they don't have the health bars quite to do it.
I feel like they could have got it. I feel like CLG could have got that one, but they're playing it safe. They see 2 monstrous creep waves in the top and the bottom lane, and those creep waves alone are going to give them about as much gold as the dragon would have anyway, and it doesn't mean they can't go back later for the dragon, as well as it being 26 minutes into the game with the Baron pings going down. CLG is worried that Dignitas could rush that objective.
Okay, so Baron certainly was on the table. We had seen Patoy grab the Oracles earlier on and sweep boards out. Of course, he had died, so 400 gold down the drain for that poor soul. Dignitas now trying to recover. They're only down 300 gold, so for as many great moves as CLG have made in the recent past, they've really only brought the game back to equal footing. It's Dignitas' turn to turn it back on.
Yeah, but when you're winning team fights, when you're down 5,000 gold, that means you should be destroying team fights when you're even. But they're down a man, and Crumbs continues to bounce in.
They put damage on a Niantonso, some damage on a Chowster as well. Crumbs has to run away from this one. Gets a slow from Chowster, but the slow field coming out from Varus says, nope, don't chase our Zac.
And that's a lot of threat down there for CLG as they've reformed themselves in the mid lane. Now's the time where I think CLG goes and picks up that dragon.
Here we go, moving down towards the bottom side of the map. They have just enough ward coverage to not be afraid of that counter Baron. And here we go, double Nian and Link all going to make that one happen. Chouster running around the jungle, putting some wards down. Here we go, Dragon picked up, and a 1,600 gold lead here for Counter Logic Gaming.
That's quite impressive, actually. The way they've been able to come back in this game. It's got to feel good for them, too, because they were down a lot. And we're giving them a bit of a hard time, I feel like, because they weren't doing anything.
No.
But it seems like they had the plan. They were sitting back with the Karthus farm. You know, Big Fat going take Nocturne has worked out for them because they have enough damage from other sources. And Chouster's team fighting with Janna, even if he has no items and gave up that first blood, has been awesome.
Here we go, a little bit of a dangerous recall there. Says, oh, I'm not going to stay in that brush. Dignitas are still trying to exert control over the map. Cutie still scaling up, but you look at the items between the 80 carries, and he's basically down one full item. It's Eye-Edge Phantom Dancer versus Bloodthirst Phantom Dancer and the Last Whisper.
And Cutie-Pie's got a real issue dealing with Niantanso's Elise. Elise is kind of bursting him down. There's not much magic resistance on the team to help Cutie-Pie, plus the Zhonya's Hourglass is giving Nian that incredible amount of resiliency against Cutie-Pie. So the team fights are really swinging for CLG for more than one reason.
Red buff now also grabbed on double. A couple more things going their way. Cutie-Pie has to run around and just farm away in the bottom, but CLG, they're going to regroup into the mid lane.
Yeah, and I just realized, not only is Cutie-Pie up in items, he's 3 levels ahead of Cutie-Pie.
Oh, wow.
So that featured matchup about going even, Cutie-Pie's not been able to stay even despite having that early lane advantage.
You're absolutely right about that one, and that just plays into that whole CLG strategy. We also mentioned Link had been stepping up, and he's on Karthus. He's been carrying a little bit in those mid-game fights. He's been doing great. Scar on that Dana has been starting fights, but he's not actually closing out the kills himself.
He hasn't been able to get those last hits. I mean, Kiwi Kid hasn't been able to get in the fight with him. Scar's been going in mostly alone. The dive buddies are not arriving. Him and Crumbs haven't been syncing up. I think it's because they're trying to not both get blown away by the Monsoon, but they might try again. That was a great Karthus wall.
A lot of damage coming across onto Crumbs. The smoke bomb as well. He's very, very low. The passive is at least... It's actually not up for him right now, so it's going to be a risky thing for Crumbs to be in that fight right here. The turret losing more health, they're waiting for one more minion wave, but CLG could cement the structure here.
And this is a surprising turret to hold against for. This is the outer turret in the top lane. If it fell and CLG got a clean initiation, it could be a free Baron or a Baron given to CLG. And yeah, that's why Dignitas is just backing away. That's not a turret they want to fight over.
He kept CLG on us for a little bit, but said, you know what, you're right, you guys are still in a safe spot. You're okay here. Ward's coming through on the jungle. Patoy, as he retreats, says, hold on, we want to make sure you don't invade on us too hard. And now they know a little bit about where CLG has gone. They see them exit the jungle with the ward by Wraiths. CLG going to go for something else here.
Dignitas has got to be feeling pretty scared right about now. They have lost so many engagements in a row. They probably don't really know what to think right now. They had such a big lead that has fallen away. The 2,000 lead by CLG, just in the minds of Dignitas, is much bigger right now, just based on how the team fights have been going.
And I want to see one fight by Dignitas where they actually get everything coordinated together, because the last few we've seen, Crumbs has been just a little bit too early, or Chouster blows someone back. That one good engage, we haven't yet seen it for Dig, and that could turn everything around.
It could, but it's also incredibly difficult, because it's the age-old counter of you bring an AoE engage comp against a well-executed Janna, and as clean as you want to play, if the Janna is playing perfectly, you can't make it happen. Unless they stun-lock Chouster, they couldn't make the initiation. But if they do stun-lock Chouster, then what happened to Link, Doublelift, and Niantanso, the real threats on the team? It is a very difficult problem for Dignitas to solve, and it might not be solved by straight-up team fights. They might have to do something else.
We'll see what the answer ends up being then for Dignitas, if they can get something else going. Maybe that tri-lane split push. The weird thing is, they're such an area of effect team. I guess I just would have hoped that Kiwi could keep fighting Nian 1v1 if you're a Dignitas fan, but that seems to be happening a whole heck of a lot less. That minion lead, when it's 200 in both of them, doesn't really matter that it's plus 30 anymore. These guys are pretty much caught up.
Well, Kiwi Kid hasn't actually had any isolated matchups against Niantanso, so for whatever reason, Dignitas isn't creating those. I think CLG, while playing possum for the first 18 minutes of the game, has kept enough consistent lane pressure that Kiwi Kid hasn't felt free to go elsewhere in the map.
Yeah, and you're seeing that kind of manifest in some of the minion kills as well, because Scar is still getting so very much farm. It's not really being donated to Kiwi Kid, it's still donated a bit to Scara and a bit to Cutie-Pie. Meanwhile, you just see how much Doublelift's exploding. He's the one getting all the free lane farm on CLG, and he's exploding more and more and more. He's got a Quicksilver Sash now as well, and just look at the gold because of that.
Yeah, so he's picked up double cleanse for the most part now. Plus, he's got a BF sword, so he's going to be going towards a Mercurial Scimitar. Even if they get a stun on a double lift, he's going to be able to most likely escape and finish off a fight. It's about damage dealt to double lift now, more so than lockdown. But Dignitas's composition kind of focuses on lockdown for the most part, so a very smart, wise build there by double lift.
So Double definitely getting himself into more of that late game carry status there. Another BF sword, always fun to grab. It's just like to have BF swords. They build into pretty much everything that's useful for an AD carry. He's going to keep on being happy. Now, Big Fat LP, interestingly, he's actually running the split push in the bottom side. He's been taking a lot of free lane farm in the recent past. I've seen him clean these up a lot over the course of this game.
I think it's pretty smart for them to use him as a split-pushing vehicle because he can join fights later if necessary. He's going to have to make a quick run to get into this one, though.
There's good chance for damage here. Double Lift taking a bit of pain. Crumbs in the mix, and there's the Cutie Pie ult as well. Link taking so much pain, and he gets sniped down, but the re-engage comes across. They killed off Chowster this time.
There it is.
Neon Tanso forced to flash out, nearly goes down. Scarra finds one, and there's Big Fat LP. Kiwi taking some damage to get the kill
Double
back on
could
the
clean
AD
up
carry.
here.
This could be rough indeed. Kiwi gets dropped down. Patoy, Crumbs, Scarra all trying to run back. Scarra puts the shield on, but Double, is he going to get the chase down? Smoke bomb, triple kill. Now there's Patoy on the side. Can it do enough? He's trying to chase. Level 18. Crumbs running back.
Draw.
Big Fat's going to run into him. Crumbs is going to get fear tethered. That's going to be him probably going down. Jumps to the wall, but still feared. Patoy gets out actually just barely. But now it's Crumbs being surrounded. The chase still there. The Dustbringer, I can't see him getting away from this one. Big Fat LP, another fear tether. That's going to hit onto Crumbs. More damage, but Tank Nocturne not doing all that much damage.
There's the jump.
Oh my gosh, actually, are you serious? He's going to get away from this one?
Hands in the air, Crumbs. Come on, you can make it. One more Q dodge. It's a 2-second cooldown for Big Fat LP. If it hits, he's dead.
He's got 100-something health. Can he do it? Big Fat, 135 health. Oh, Crumbs,
What
you made it.
happened?
Oh my god, there wasn't any damage. It's Tank Nocturne.
He didn't throw out the last Duskbringer. Oh well. They decided to let him run free. But that was as good a fight as Dignitas is going to get. They got Chowster down before the ultimate killed while getting Link dead as well, but they couldn't get the final threat, which was double lift, and then Big Fat LP finally made it in. It was a close fight, and it really makes this next fight all the more important.
Well, here comes the risk right here because Baron is being started. Crumbs is trying to make his way back over, but Baron is getting so incredibly low. He's not in range to steal it away yet, and the blue team has slain Baron. Nasher, Counterlogic Gaming grabs that. Kiwi get forced back as well. There's the Varus ult trying to disengage. No, they're going to go in on
They got double lift.
Do they have the damage they need? Double goes down right away. Link as well without Requiem. Dignitas, is this the fight you want? Big Fat LP drop low. A couple more shots to go. The slow field comes from Varus. The Q, can he get it? Yes, the snipe comes in from I'm a Cutie Pie. 3-0. Dignitas finally sparks to life.
Double lift out of position. I'm a Cutie Pie nailed him with the Chain of Corruption, and he had burned all of his cooldowns in the last fight that he had no escapes of. Double lift dashed in after the Baron, feeling so confident. CLG thought they were going to just take the game after that Baron, but they may have just handed it back.
Oh my gosh, and now even the Janna Shield's not going to be enough to hold this turret alive. They're backdooring, but Neon Tanso, he 1v3'd at Dragon. I don't know if he can 2v5 at his own inhibitor. It's getting a little bit close with losing health.
And these are long death timers for CLG, so as low as Dignitas is right now, they are confident taking these inhibitors. Neon Tanso and Chowster do not feel confident stopping that inhibitor down.
And they run on back. Crumbs is forced to jump away, though. He was slow by Chowster. Neon looked for the cocoon. Didn't quite land that, but it still forced Dig to run away. Inhibitor down, though. That's big.
Well, we got ourselves a good old-fashioned brawl right now
yeah.
because it's 12-13. The gold is pretty much even. The Baron was picked up and lost, so now it's a matter of where does CLG go. They've had some miraculous team fights and some not-so-miraculous ones as Dignitas may be mounting a comeback of their own.
And it's crazy to see how this game has just turned on its head because the first 50 minutes was like, whew, got ourselves a laning phase here,
Yeah.
man. They're killing a lot of minions, and then we've had team fight after team fight, and the game flipping around back and forth as well. This has been an absolutely incredible match.
And Double Lift has to keep himself safe.
Yeah.
I feel like he got a bit of a talking to after that one, or just did a talking to himself saying, yeah, I'm not going to quick draw into 5 people that have all their crowd controls up.
Yeah,
and I
maybe.
think we'll be good. I still think CLG will be good in this one if he stays safe. The danger they would run is if Scarra gets big enough to just damage out Double Lift through his CC breaks. That's Dignitas' path to winning this game, or if Double Lift makes another bad team fight decision.
Yeah, well, Double has gotten himself another boost of damage, though. That Infinity Edge comes through, and he is as aside from Mercurial Scimitar, he is as damaging as you're going to get on an AD carry. Has pretty much the most damaging build possible, although not far behind that is I'm a Cutie Pie, who's got his own Last Whisper, and nearly has that Blade of the Ruined King.
He's getting pretty powerful on Varus as well, and the he may have enough to deal with Nianchanso, since Nianchanso's actually went with a more assassin-y Elise. That's a 500 ability power Elise right now with the Rabadon's death cap. So not as tanky as you would expect from Nianchanso. We'll have to track if he's able to snipe people or if he goes down early in some of these team fights, because that's a risk in itself building that item.
So his Neurotoxin does 23% of current health, and then the Venomous Bite at the end is going to do 23% of missing health.
That is a little bit of damage right now.
Yeah, plus the flat. And so that's going to hurt a little bit, so Cutie Pie, good luck.
To Cutie Pie, who doesn't have magic resistance. We got to keep that in mind. Plus the Runic Bulwark that they have for their team is on Crumbs, which usually jumps out of range. So it's very dangerous if Nianchanso can close in the right spot.
And we'll see if Patoy can keep that Aria of Perseverance on just for a little bit of aid there, because that's the only resist he's going to get. So, fight looks like it's about to begin. All 10 players huddled around this turret. New minion wave coming in for both sides. Nianchanso sweeps it away. While that pain comes by, just some poke from CLG. We'll see if they can get any damage in the structure.
And if we think about it, the fight CLG has won is when Crumbs over-initiates. CLG doesn't have a good way of initiating their own fights. And now that Dignitas has realized this, they're not diving in, because they realize CLG can't really dive in either. And if Link has to walk into Dignitas, instead of Dignitasing jumping through Link and granting Link good position on Karthus, Dignitas may have a way of winning these fights now.
So we'll see if they can get their positioning exactly how they want it and get those free picks, because right now minions are flooding into the base of CLG and really stretching them out right now. Doublelift has been holding that mid lane for a while. Minions took down the top secondary turret for free and are now knocking on the inhibitor turret as well. And that's going to take, I don't think it'll quite die to minions, but it's going to take a lot of damage unless someone comes to clean it up.
And they're sending Big Fat LP over there to pick up the lane farm again, because that's what they have to do. If they sent Doublelift, it meant their team would get dive. Or dove. I think that's going to be a safe hold for them, but Dignitas is trying to keep the pressure on because they are feeling good again.
They certainly are right now, and Double needs about 1,100 gold so they can finish Scimitar.
Crumbs just goes!
He's going to jump in, but he's going to walk right back out while the pain comes by, and he says, my team can't walk through that in time. So they're going to walk right out. Thankfully for him, of course, he is tanky. He's got 20 CDR, so he's doing okay as far as jumping in and getting out.
Yeah, he's got to be careful with how he does that, though, because that is exactly how Dignitas has gotten themselves in trouble throughout this game. Sure, Crumbs actually hasn't died in any of these fights, but it's because he's going in and then using his Let's Bounce to get out, which is not what he wants to do. He wants to use the Let's Bounce for damage, specifically on Doublelift.
Okay, so hopefully he can actually get himself in a position and not get knocked back by Chowster as well, because we've seen how much that just turns fights around when you get the good Monsoon coming right here. Nice to see a couple of different supports running in this game as well. CLG and Dignitas, though, they are exactly equal on gold, and their gold's coming from different sources, though, as well. Dignitas up 3 turrets, CLG up a couple of Barons, Dragons, things like that. And in general, though, it just means, we just got a very, very close game, but a huge Doublelift.
Yeah, 40 minutes in, and it's on. There's no death caps on Dignitas. There's only one, and it's on Nianchanso. Link hasn't really reached an absurd ability power moment yet. He's actually building a lot more resilient on Karthus just because of the aforementioned not being able to walk into the team. They don't have the ways of necessarily flying him in. He has to flash pretty much to get into the fights, but he's built the home guard boots as well. I wouldn't be too surprised if at some point he went for distortion boots if they get a bit more of an edge so he can flash into more team fights. But at this point, since we're 40 minutes, 30 seconds in, if someone wins a team fight clean, with how many turrets are dead in this game, they might be able to push an end.
The only real saving grace for Dignitas, and that would be just they're fighting on the other side of the map. But even then, you're right, there's a very, very good chance that CLG close it out. Dignitas definitely would. And as we saw in the TSM Cloud9 game, they died on the other side of the map, and TSM still surrendered out of it. So these teams know that when you get to this point in the game, things can just fall over. CLG, though, they are still stuck inside their base. Their fates keep turning around back and forth. This time they're around on the back foot. They're waiting for something to happen.
There's a chance that this game could go on for a while.
Yeah.
I know we're already 41 minutes in, but it's only because of the way these teams have each lost team fights. Is teams lose team fights when they're the ones starting them, which may make these teams more passive. They're positioning themselves very aggressively right now. Big Fat LP is around the back of Dignitas, and they might try to go on Scar.
This could be really, really risky. The wall of pain comes by. They know he's taking a bit of punishment there. Q comes by as well. Doesn't land too much, though. And Dignitas are just still right now. They're actually just like taking CLG's jungle as their little extra advantage right here. However, Baron is back up and they're just starting it.
There's no wards right now for CLG, so they have to be very careful about how they go in. And if they started in the wrong way, they would just get caught out. But Dignitas went straight for it. Chowster made it for the ward. Big Fat going for a steal. He got it!
He got it! Oh my gosh! But Scar's in the mix right here just evaporates. 1 kill and the Baron. Kiwi Kid's going to re-engage, knocked back by Chowster, but Chowster will go down. Can they re-engage Cutie Pie? Jumped up by Nia, but Nia explodes right there. Let's Bounce comes across. They've traded kills. Now Link getting knocked back. Chowster falls down. 4 versus 3 right here. Double lift hitting, but Toy just falls over. Cutie Pie still alive. Kiwi Kid, Zonia's, he's going to survive. Link low on health. Kiwi Kid's going to fall over, but it's a 2 versus 2. Baron is there.
Requiem will clean.
Ooh, it's going to be close. Cutie Pie survives. So does Crumbs. But they're making a push for the middle lane. They've got minions too.
And it's actually only a 3 for 3. Yes, CLG got the Baron. They're trying to make this push down, but I expect Dignitas to go back to base. They don't have enough gold for home guard boots on both, but they're going to be rushing to try to save this inhibitor. Doublelift has lifesteal back up to full health, though. Let's see if they can go. They're going to back off.
Yeah, they got just the turret. Cutie Pie actually had already had home guards himself. Crumbs had to rush them down. And so they said, okay, 2v2, look, you know your engage is strong. The Verisol, they didn't know if it was back up. He had blue buff already, and they just jump right back out. But that fight, chat, was so hectic as CLG takes Dragon. Take us through that replay.
Yeah, let's watch this one again, as I don't think the Dragon's going to have a big play here. The steal is what started it for Big Fat LP. He went in, and Scar was trying to zone. He got enough damage on a double lift that I feel like if Dignitas had the Baron in this fight, they may have came out on top. Because if you watch Doublelift at the back of this fight, he's scared to go in because anything that catches him will one-shot him. But what ended up happening is Link gets them low enough, and the AoE from Doublelift gets them there. The Doublelift then starts jumping around to execute, and Dignitas has to back off because Crumbs and Cutie Pie rightfully knew that if they took any more damage, the Link ult would kill them. That's why Doublelift was able to go in at the end and clean that up.
A great organization and coordination by these guys to know exactly how much they could take. Double dancing around, finally life-stealing back up. The rest of Dignitas knowing exactly what Requiem could do. Great moves made by these guys. And now, Dignitas, Kiwi Kid, he's up in that top lane, trying to find something to do for himself, get some more gold, scale back up.
To catch you up on what happened there, the Dragon was taken, and then Big Fat OP burned his ultimate on the escape because Dignitas tried to force a fight. But CLG is then trying to push up for this exposed inhibitor, knowing the Kiwi Kid was just spotted in the top lane.
So a potential 4v4 because Link is not with the team right now. The great knockup by Chowster, though, stops the attempted engage by Crumbs. So no structures go down, and we're back to 5v5.
And somehow Crumbs still hasn't died in this game. A lot of it has been because his less bouncing has been taking himself out of fights, and because there's so much threat for CLG, he doesn't want to bounce around in Link's defile from Karthus. Doublelift is at 19,000 gold, cannot buy more items. So the rest of CLG should actually be taking the farm away from him now in an attempt to get strong themselves.
Well, they've only got a few more items to go, even across the board. Anyway, you look at these builds mature, and only really Chowster has a lot of slots left to fill. We'll see if that's what ends up happening. It's funny, he's actually the only AP Janna I've not seen. We see so many other guys actually go from Relanomicon and stuff like that.
It's true.
Chowster's playing the ward game this time.
Well, they're going to damage.
They're going to jump in. A lot of damage on a double. He's been forced back. The ult used by Chowster. Crumbs in the back line. Let's Bounce comes across. Neon Force to Zonia's. Smoke Bomb comes across. A lot of roots coming by as well. No kills found just yet. There's the engage by Kiwi Kid. So incredibly late, but he gets the damage up what he needs. Big Fat LP going to go down. Chowster's died as well. The Requiem comes across. Is it going to be enough? Neon Tonso falls over, and Cutie Pie is still alive. However, Doublelift says, you better back away from me. The snipe deals some damage, but Double has lifesteal.
This is really interesting because he's the only one alive, whereas everyone else on Dignitas is extremely low. Dignitas disengaged at the right time. That if Doublelift can only farm this for so long until Dignitas comes back with full health, they're trying to cut off his escape path. Here comes the home guard.
He flashes for Cutie Pie and just destroys him, but he's going to get 1v2 here. This could be enough damage from Skara. That's going to be Double falling over, and it's the ace, but they got the inhibitor, CLG.
And the game continues because this doesn't tell us anything about who's going to win. Yes, an inhibitor down is great, but CLG has had an exposed inhibitor right now, and 24-second death timers on Link. I don't know if Scar and Crumbs can make it down here fast enough. Look at the creep waves on the sides for Dignitas as well. This game continues to get more interesting.
They've still got 10 seconds till anyone is back up, 12 until anyone with damage shows up here. This middle inhibitor is theirs. I wonder if they can make it to the bottom one in time before Link stops them. I don't think so.
No.
But Dignitas will at least get the middle inhibitor, so now Superman is going to be colliding against each other in this mid lane for the game.
And Chowster only flies out to give him a little NATO, but Link trying to close. I don't think he's going to be able to make it either. They do get a slow on a Scar. Let's see if they can get him. Scar goes in.
He has to jump in on Link, but he's been exhausted. The damage up it might be too much. Pops Zonia's. He's going to try to dash with some minions. Nope. Scar does go down. So just like Doublelift trades his life for an inhibitor.
Inhibitor for inhibitor. 19 kills to 21. 2,000 gold difference. When is Baron up? It's got to be in like 3 minutes, maybe 2 minutes.
Was anyone on Dig alive to still have it?
No, I think the Baron is
CLG
gone.
had it, right?
The Baron is gone for everyone. CLG had it, and they got aced. So essentially, we've reset the game again. Doublelift is max items. Cutie Pie is approaching it. there's still a lot to go down. And as we've seen, these fights are very even.
Scar still got his flask. He's got still one more item to go for. Unless he really wants that for an endgame build. You never know. But the red buff being taken here by Varus, however. Okay, Big Fat LP was looking for a little bit of a move on him up there, but didn't quite find it. There's some aggressive warding coming in from CLG, though.
Yeah, and CLG has to actually catch some people out of guard, because I think they're a little scared of Doubleless life in team fights, since Skara has accumulated so much damage recently that he could get something down. But Crumbs, that's 3 people he doesn't want to run into.
He's got Cocoon. The Let's Bounce comes across. Requiem trying to join that one as well, but just, they got away from that one. Crumbs realized, I don't want to be here. And hops out. Now Chaucer being slowed down, the tornado, but he's got friends coming from the back.
2 minutes until Requiem's up again. So it's actually going to sync fairly well with the exposure of the next Baron buff. CLG's got to be so careful. If Doublelift gets caught out by a couple hits from Skara, he is going to die. So it's so important, his positioning now. All the farm has been channeled onto Doublelift. 21,000 gold. No more items can be built. And this game is incredibly tense. As back and forth as it's been,
oh my gosh.
I think the next fight's going to be decisive.
The next fight, I mean, we say that, but we've seen so many team fights go back and forth, and then, well, they got the inhibitor, because the fights have been so close, but Crumbs is gonna go in, tries to put a slow on a Big Fat LP, but he shields it. Okay, nothing quite started here. Big Fat still forced to run away.
Dignitas wants to go because they know that Requiem is still down. If they can get any kind of initiation, they're gonna try to brute force it.
Jumps in on Link, does the damage, but Crumbs just gets evaporated. Now KiwiKid wants to go in, but he's not finding a battle. Neon Tanso does get the kill onto Crumbs. KiwiKid forced to run away. Big Fat LP pops the Zonius to slow him down. Kiwi's gonna get fear tethered as well. Can Big Fat LP show up for this? And oh, they just evaporate the little Yordle here. They've got a 5v3 for 60 seconds.
And that is a great example of why Dignitas has failed to initiate over and over again. Every fight that CLG's won this game has been because Crumbs initiates alone and Dignitas can't follow up thanks to Chauster's Monsoon on Janna. Great play there by CLG, predicting the dive from Dignitas, and this could give them the Baron.
And here we go with no one around to steal. Dig won't even try. Baron's going to go to counter Logic Gaming, and the response is that Scar will try to push the bottom lane down, but Doublelift looks for pushing the top lane here.
Scar trying to make something else happen. Diana pushes very quickly, and really Scar is trying to create as much lane push as possible before CLG can get to their base, so that when CLG does arrive, there's distractions for them. But I don't know if he's going to get back in time. Maybe he's going to continue the split push. It actually looks like Big Fat's going back to base.
Well, right now, with 10 seconds still of power play, there's not a lot of room for Dignitas to work with this one. They put some poke down, but the mini wave is too large. This will be the turret. It might even be the inhibitor. Crumbs is alive with home guard.
And we might see another fight very shortly. KiwiKid will be up in 4 seconds as well. Yet there's no cannon ultimate. They are posturing real hard right now.
Doing a lot of damage to the back line, but Crumbs with no passive has to be a little bit aware of this one. The minion's going to get pushed out right here, and now that Kiwi is alive, CLG gives them respect, backs off, saying just the turret. 7-7, by the way. I want to point out 7-7 in turrets, 21-21 in kills. Only thing really separating them is a little bit of gold on each side.
It's crazy, and the Baron buff as well.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Slightly separating them right now. It's honestly though, at 50 minutes, the Baron buff doesn't mean nearly as much as it would around 25, because it's about 40 attack damage and ability power at this point in the game. So compared to the items, it's not much, and that was a very clutch dodge by Link when he flashed out of that crescendo, and it could mean Dignitas is... That actually might help Dignitas, because it'll tell them not to initiate, which is what they can't do against CLG right now.
Well, they do have that pause button, as we've called it, with the Baron buff still 2.5 minutes left for counter Logic Gaming. So at around 53 minutes in the game, you'll see that timeout, and that'll be kind of the go signal that Dignitas can maybe fight again. But right now, with basically all the inhibitors back up soon, the middle one for Dig has come back. That means the one for CLG is back soon. This game's going to keep being real close.
And I'm wondering when each member is going to be reaching their max items. Neon Tanso's actually sold the Haunting Guys to make room for more defensive items. His Glass Cannon Elise, I feel like, ran out of effectiveness because I think he was just dying to KiwiKid's ultimate by accident in some of these fights, so he's going more defensive now. Link has hit 6 items. It's a 6 items without death cap, so he's not as crazy as Karthus could be, 639 AP, but still, that's a lot of AP.
Yeah.
And it's going to be doing work as soon as he gets the Requiem in, since Amacutie still doesn't have magic resist itemization, and he's max items as well.
And the Frozen Mouth's going to be his only defensive item here, and they're going to look to hold their front line. in the front of their base, but again, they're against Baron buff here. We want to see if they're going to try to hold on to this. They have their ultis available. They try to go in. Will they have the damage they need? Neontops are taking a bit of poke. The Varus ult comes by. They want to battle for this one. Here comes the crescendo. They jump in. Double gets out of this one. The crescendo and everything coming across. Cutie-Pie taking a bunch of punches, but he has been able to kite back so far. While a pain comes in, here comes Link. He's going to get jumped on. He will fall over. Scar pops his Zonias, but this is going to be enough damage with Requiem. Scar could fall. So could Cutie-Pie. No! They've actually survived this one, but yet, even though they outnumber them, CLG takes the inhibitor down and walk right back out.
And there was a very important moment in that team fight when Scar had used one charge of R on Doublelift and Doublelift was out of the fight, unwilling to re-engage. And then when Scar tried to use his second dash, Chouster hit him with a tornado and interrupted it. That's what allowed Doublelift to win that fight. Well, CLG to win that fight. Even though it was 1 kill for 0, it got them the inhibitor. But because Dignitas is disengaging so well, still no deaths, and now they're trying a counter push 4v5 due to these incredibly long death timers.
They've got 35 seconds. CLG with Baron, I don't know.
This is a great counter push by Dignitas.
Oh,
they actually won that last fight.
It's beautiful. So the inhibitor's going to go down. Now let's see if they do anything else for the next 25 seconds. They look to backdoor the top lane. Can CLG even hold this? Because now minions are here. It's no longer the back door. It's the front door. Peke would be sad, but it's all right. Dignitas going to take this one down too.
There's no Monsoon up to peel Dignitas off if they do dive for Doublelift, so CLG has to be very careful right now.
Crumbs has his ulti. Big Fat LP takes a bunch of pain. The slows are there. Crumbs gets the knockup. He's been cocooned. The damage on a Big Fat, but the counter engage is there. The crescendo comes across. Inhibitor goes down. Dignitas forced to back out. They did get Big Fat LP in that fight, though. Another 70 seconds of power play.
Remember when I said that the next fight was going to be decisive?
Uh-huh.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
That was not what happened. We're 53 minutes into the game now, and it's still back and forth.
In your defense, the first thing you said, though, was, man, we might be in for a really long game. I know it's 40 minutes so far, but seriously, this game might go on for a while. Chat,
yeah,
game's going on for a while.
The teams are so evenly matched right now.
Yeah.
Just in team composition. It's allowing for a lot of crazy back and forth play. Dignitas wants to dive on. They have a lot of tools, and CLG has a lot of tools as well, so it's allowing for so many plays by both teams. It makes the fight swingy based on how perfectly things are executed. Scar's dashes on Diana are super fast. Chouster's reaction times have to be faster in order to stop them. Kiwi Kid can Zonias to stop himself from getting blown back from the Janna Monsoon.
Yep.
All these things can swing fights back and forth. Doublelift has to cleanse out at just the right moments. That's why these fights are so back and forth.
And you know, speaking of Doublelift, he's actually bought himself a new item. If you didn't think it was even possible, he sold the Zerker Greaves, bought a Zephyr. So more attack damage, more attack speed, even some CDR there on him. So, I mean, that is literally the
and
actual
some tenacity.
Yeah.
If only he didn't need more with his cleanse and Mercurial Scimitar already.
Good luck stunning Doublelift this game. We're going to see, actually, yes, the same has been done for Cutie-Pie. He's picked up the same item, selling his Berserker's Greaves. So the only item that separates these guys is Frozen Mallet versus Mercurial Scimitar. Otherwise, oh, sorry. Okay, we're going to move on. Because there's another item as well, Rune King versus Bloodthirst. So I'm just wrong here, but CLG, they've got Big Fat LP back here. Baron's in a minute 15 seconds, and they're looking to be grouped up again.
And when Scar gets that Lich Bane, it's going to be even scarier as well. I think maybe an Abyssal Scepter is going to be Kiwi Kid's last item. Like, these guys are all going to be hitting 6 items real soon. Would he go Banshees? Nah, he's not going to go Banshees.
For Monsoon, you don't think so?
That wouldn't be that bad an idea. I feel like there'd be enough incidental crowd control that's going to stop him from getting in there at the first place. But that would be interesting, to build a mana item on Kennen just for the spell block. I don't know.
This is that. We'll see if he can land it, and we'll see what he ends up going for here. Abyssal would not surprise me too much, or whatever he ends up going for. Dignitas, though, they're looking for a power play. They're going to find Chouster! He is so done right now. They burned Crescendo, but they got everything else still up here.
Wouldn't it be fitting if the game started and ended with Chouster getting caught out of position for all the amazing plays he's made this game? 17 assists on almost no gold flow, being like the sole defender of CLG in team fights, but getting caught again could turn something. Let's see if CLG counters.
They found some damage. Fears off onto Crumbs. There comes the jump in from Kiwi Kid. They got the root. They've got Doublelift. He's going to try to cleanse out, and there's the damage up, but he's survived so far. He goes off Skara. Then the fight is back on. Neon Tonsa looks for the back line. There's the Requiem. Big Fat trying to get out. Cutie-Pie does survive, but Neon Tonsa's going to make that not the case anymore. They jump now into Crumbs and Patoy. Big Fat LP trying to put the damage on, but Crumbs is winning that duel. No, it's going to be Link putting out enough damage. They're going to kill those Bloblets. Patoy, I don't think you're going to kill Link. I don't think so.
That is a classy way of finishing off a Zac. He Zonya's in his Defile to get the last hit while Patoy is coming in for the finish. Another swingy fight. 4 kills for Dignitas. 3 kills. Something about that. 3 kills for CLG. It has words. 7 kills in total. 25 to 26 is the total kill count. And the defense continues because there's 3 inhibitors dead on the map right now, which means, and a Baron.
Yeah.
Too many objectives to keep track of. The decision-making here is going to be so key. I think CLG can actually rush this Baron and two-man it with Link.
Yeah, so not counting the catch, Dignitas did lose that fight 2-4. CLG, though, they think with this power play, with only Patoy alive, they can easily two-man this Baron right here, and why the heck not Link? He's actually spamming Defile. This actually does give him more damage. The cooldown on Defile is faster than the tick rate if you leave it on, so spamming E actually increases your DPS, but costs more mana. He's burning it down.
Well, they're getting that Baron down super quick, and I mean, you can try to steal it, but you're not going to beat the Smite. That's like the 3rd or 4th Baron we've seen go down in this game, and they actually haven't had the hugest impact since everyone's so close to 6 items. It's a nice bonus, but it doesn't respawn CLG's inhibitors, and it doesn't give them any turrets back, so CLG still has to be very cautious.
And Link's going to just take that top lane. I mean, speaking of being cautious, we've seen like people waiting around for a while, then exploding for a fight, and then being cautious again. This game has been toying with my heart forever, and at this point, gold totals don't even matter. It's just who can win that final decisive fight without people dead at the end of it, so you can actually push something down. We haven't seen that yet.
I know the longest game you've ever casted in competitive history was the Dignitas vs. CLG game back in the Season 2 regionals, and that was a 77-minute game.
Yeah.
We're only 20 minutes away from a rematch of that right now because this game seems to be on pace for that with all the inhibitors going back and forth. It's a little more accelerated. There's 16 buildings destroyed right now on the map turret-wise, so an ace for nothing could happen and end the game, but that's just not how the team fights have been working out.
Oh my gosh, so now what's next for these guys? Because they've given us an amazing show so far. Sorry if you're looking for the next match of the day because it's behind schedule. These guys are putting on quite the amazing show. Dignitas, again, they're looking for a sneak somewhere in the random brush, trying to catch someone out, taking bottom lane farm and pushing it out, but no one's taking the bait. The cannon minion's not tasty. Oh, it's tasty enough for Cutie Pie. He wants that one, and here comes the push from Dignitas.
So Link has 996 ability power right now. He doesn't have boots, but he does have a Rabadon's Death Cap, so that is the most ability power I've seen on a Karthus in quite some time. Also, Doublelift switched up his items again to get a Guardian Angel. He realized he was at a point where Skara could one-shot him, so he needs to get the revive for these team fights. I think that is a good choice from him, sacrificing damage for defense at this point in the game. Item builds are continually evolving as this game gets later and later because everyone has more gold than they know what to do with at this point.
It's always fun to watch like the paralysis in decision making when they're just like, I think this will work this time, and then he'll sell the GA when it's on cooldown and buy like a Randuin's or something else. It'll just keep moving around as the game goes on. The inhibitors though are back up on all sides, so there's no more minions flooding in, making people dictate where they move around. The lanes will equalize, and Dignitas right now though, despite the fact that they don't have Baron, they're kind of winning the vision game, and they're the ones actually bullying the map right now. And
it's having a bit to do with CLG throughout the 60 minutes of this game, haven't had a way of initiating fights well. Sure, Big Fat LP could go in on Nocturne, but at this point he would get melted by I'm a Cutie Pie and the rest of Dignitas. CLG is still waiting. No matter how long this game goes, they're going to be waiting for Dignitas to engage on them, and CLG has to defend these inhibitors as they have respawned, and Dignitas is trying the triple push.
They are trying. The bottom one down to half health right now. Cutie Pie got a lot of damage to it, and they're going to re-engage actually. CLG forced to kind of play the slaves to where Dignitas tries to move right here. They're going to go back to the bottom lane, clear that out. The inhibitor's not going to be under too much fire, but Dig still knocking on that door.
And Link is really slow for how well Dignitas is running them back and forth. When you sell your boots and don't get any move speed item to compensate, that makes it much harder for Link to actually find position in these team fights, which is actually making the split push here by Dignitas slightly more effective because Link cannot sway too far to either direction because he wouldn't make it to a fight in time.
Oh my gosh, so it's just the wall of pain and hoping you can run forwards. It's Doublelift being just kind of stationed, so that's the adaptation CLG's making. They said, okay, fine, you take bottom, you take mid, we'll move if we have to, but for now, just stick where you are and keep those minions. And you're seeing even the same thing from Dignitas, right? It's Crumbs and Cutie Pie sticking down to the bottom, Crumbs just playing the bodyguard here for the Archer, and it's working out okay.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to see the next fight happen. Maybe it'll be at an inhibitor, but like for all the engagements that Dignitas is overcommitted, I don't see them doing it again. But for all the poking they're trying to do on these inhibitors, they're not doing it fast enough to make something happen. Maybe they're going to try something once the Baron is gone from CLG, or they'll try another brush strat. I don't know if they're actually going to be getting anything out of this immediate press.
You think they're just waiting to try to take Baron themselves? Like, again, it feels like Dignitas is the confident team.
They might be just waiting for the Baron to come up because we're already 61 minutes in.
Yeah.
5 more minutes doesn't matter. It's not like, oh no, if we let CLG farm in their base, they might hit 6 items. They're already there, so it's just a matter of timing.
So Dignitas looking again for this bottom lane push. Maybe now they're looking for the bottom lane hold CLG in their base. That's where it was looking at right now.
Yeah.
We're not seeing people quite jump forward. Big Fat LP almost gets hit by a Moonfall there. Spell shields it away. PewDiePie scared off by Neon Tanso. Of course, Doublelift was right behind him there. Mid lane taking a bit of poke, but Toy doing the damage in this one. Double forced to wave clear that. This could be a fight. Oh, they're going to go on into PewDiePie. Requiem's there, and here comes the dive comp. Can he get away? The jump forward. He's going to barrier this. He's been caught, but here comes Skara. Here comes the rest of the team. Will it be enough damage? This is going to be rough. Big Fat LP and Neon Tanso. Kiwicket taking pain. He's going to fall over. Link is around. The damage coming across. Double's been forced to use his Guardian Angel. Kiwicket almost gets away. Skara's going to likely fall down from this one as well. The damage output coming in from all sides. It's Link with a heck of a lot of kills right there. Double kills so far. Requiem's been used, but Toy falls over. Only the Crumbs Bloblet survive. This is an ace for CLG.
Ace for one. Just Doublelift is the one dead, but they're so pushed back into their base. These are 60-second death timers, 45 seconds for I'm a Cutie Pie, and everyone on CLG is backing, Freak. You know what that means?
Home guard and running across the map and hoping.
I don't think they can make it for the end. I think they can home guard in for an inhibitor, maybe. But there's a minute 30 on the Baron spawn. They are so pushed out. This actually, think of it like an ARAM for the people that have been in games like this. If you're fighting on the enemy side of the map, if you lose a fight, it doesn't necessarily mean you end the game. It means that you might have a chance to respawn and go. I don't know if it's the same 63 minutes into a League of Legends game because we just don't get to see them frequently enough. Let's watch these death timers as CLG charges.
PewDiePie with 7 seconds. Home guards, of course, on the team. I mean, you can look at Skara's face right there. He's confident. He's still calm. He's like, yeah, we'll lose an inhib, it's fine. We'll still turn this one back around. We know we can do this, but CLG looking to turn the inhibitors on their side now, and none too soon. Baron in 50 seconds, Dragon in 35. 2 inhibs will go down. The rest of Dig respawns, and 64 minutes in, CLG says, all right, we'll back out again.
And 100K gold, triple digits for the first time in the LCS, I think, for a team's gold total. That is a lot of money. I actually, just for fun, Doublelift has 27K. Link has 23.5. Even Nian has 20,000. He pulled ahead of Kiwicket. He came back in lane.
Nice.
Good job by Neon Tanso. There's 13,000 been generated for Chouster as well, but all that money has went into consumables. Dignitas wants to fight this. They recognize that there's a red buff being stolen, and any mistake could spell disaster. Both teams have inhibitors exposed. Dignitas will have super minions threatening their base. This is probably another Baron given to CLG once it spawns in about 5 seconds.
4 seconds to go. The ultimate for Link is the only one not available. Still has 15 seconds on that. Theoretically, they could fight him in time for this one. Crumbs, will he go for the steal? He's charging up. Oh, he gets cocooned, though. He's not going to be able to jump for that too easily unless he flashes for it. No, blue team takes Baron Nashor. That is at least number 4 for Counter Logic Gaming, but Crumbs, he's still making the charge with his team.
Yeah, Dignitas seems like they want to fight here, but if they don't get back to base very soon, they would lose their Nexus turrets. They're rushing for a fight in the base. This could be the defining moment. If Dignitas loses this fight, their base is dead to minions, but if they win a fight in this spot, they could tank the Nexus turrets and win.
Okay, here we go. Chouster, Nian, Big Fat LP are there. First inhibitor goes down. They're looking for number 2. Do they have the positioning they need? They're just diving for it right now. PewDiePie and Skara in front. They're going to equalize on inhibitors, but the fight has started. Requiem comes by as well. Let's see what happens right here. A lot of damage into Kiwicket. He's been terrified. The damage from Crumbs. The crescendo hits nobody, but Kiwiket's going to Zonius. They'll get the damage into Big Fat, but the counter engages here. They've traded 1 for 1. The damage into Crumbs. He's going to jump back. Minions are flooding into Dignitas' base. They need to get away from this one soon, but CLG might stop them.
CLG is going to lose their base. Dignitas will lose their base if they don't get back to base very quickly. Look at those minions just pound on the inhibitors. They got inhibitors for it, but if they lose their base, it's not worth it at all.
Both turrets are below half. CLG diving in the bottom lane. Inhibitor turret has gone down. Their base is still getting crushed down.
And Dignitas might not have time to heal up their health and mana while they're clearing this mecha of minions pushing their base. CLG still has 4 people. A 4v4 could develop here, and it's a matter of turret defense now for Dig.
Bottom inhibitor at like 12 health. CLG can look at it wrong, and Doublelift does. 3 inhibs down on one side, 2 on the other, and they go for the Nexus turrets. 1 has gone down. The fight is just going. It's time for the re-engage. They get some damage into Chouster. There's the pull on a Doublelift. Link in front. Exhaust goes off, and here is the damage. Crumbs bouncing around, trying to hit what he can. Link still in front. He does not have his ulti. Crumbs taking a bunch of pain. He's going to go down. Nian is on a rampage, but there's 10 seconds for Kiwicket to respawn, and it looks like CLG might be a little gun shy.
The Baron regen will keep them up, but Link ran out of mana during this fight, so they have to back away with almost all the buildings destroyed. There's 1 left for Dignitas. I don't think I've seen a game yet where 5 inhibitors have been dead on the map at one time. This is incredibly even. Every fight has been back and forth and just been a sliver away from being enough to end the game. But I feel like Dignitas barely holds on here.
No, Link will try to solve those mana issues by pressing Q on this blue buff and saying, all right, mana issues? What mana issues? I have an Archangels and a Golem buff, so I'm going to be fashionable for a little while. So, 67 minutes in. A lot of buildings are dead.
Yeah.
Interesting point here, though. CLG's inhibitors will be dead longer than Dignitas's. There will be a time where Dig has an inhibitor power play.
At the same time, though, while the inhibitors are respawned, since there's 3 inhibitors down for Dignitas, it's the double super minion waves, and they will still be en route. So I feel like while the double minion waves are en route, going towards Dignitas's base, it'll kind of make up for the desyncing and the timing, and they won't be able to make a play off of it, if I had to guess. Or we're not even going to get to that point because CLG is keeping it pushed up, knowing they have the double inhibitors, or the triple inhibitors down, and the double super minion wave spawning.
And they can spread out while they're pushing on a Dignitas' base. They can make sure they don't all get hit by Crumbs, all get hit by Kiwi Kid, and ride those super minions in. Let's see if they go anywhere. A lot of minions actually at the top side right now. Dig has to respond to that. And remember, only 1 turret protects their Nexus right now.
It's not much, and Dignitas, I think, decides to go in. If this fight's not over fast, they lose their base.
They're going to go hard right here. Big Man's going to dive into the back line, but look at the damage output there. However, Kiwi Kid has fallen over without taking out the back line. Crescendo, the Requiem comes across doing a bunch of pain. Double's going to get jumped on. Scar gets that, and Zonia's back out, but the Nexus is taking damage from minions right now. Link's forced to Guardian Angel. Nexus still falling over. Link will die. Dig needs to turn around right now, or the game is going to lose anyway. Big Fat and Chouster getting chased out. Their own minions have respawned. Will that be enough for them? 3 alive for CLG, 4 alive for Dignitas. I don't know who's going back to cleanse. It's Skara. Skara will have to defend his own base right here inside the minion line. But remember, there's now a 3v3 on the other side, including an AD carry. Dig could close out against CLG here.
And Dignitas doesn't have too much to go through either. Crumbs is a little bit low, but there is a big Final P and a highly dangerous Neon Tonso that is still at full health, but I'm a Cutie Pie is a threat right now. Skara can defend from those super minion waves. Thank goodness for Diana's wave clear at this point. I think Dignitas is just cycling inhibs themselves.
30 seconds of power play here. I kind of say the passive for Crumbs is still here. Chouster and Neon Tonso, though, really forcing these guys back. They're afraid of the re-engage here, and looks like I'm surprised.
They got it back away.
They do have to back away. They will try to claim what's left of that blue buff for themselves, but okay, inhibitors back. A couple of inhibitors are back. Game's not over. No turrets left alive, though.
Yeah, I have never seen a game quite like this.
No.
There's actually almost a kill a minute, surprisingly, with all the turret destruction that's been happening. We have 212,000 gold that has been earned between both teams. I don't think I've ever seen so many items cycled by both teams. There's a 16,000 gold Patoy with 6 kills on the map, by the way, that is turning into a tank himself. Link has actually bought boots again before that fight, and also had a GA. Once the GA passive was burned, he sold it again. That's what these guys are doing. They'll use the GA for its passive, then get rid of it, buy a new item, and then when 5 minutes are up, they'll get it again to keep coming back. It's the cycle that keeps continuing over and over again, and the game is still not decided.
No.
It could be soon, I think.
Maybe. I don't even want it to end at this point. I'd cast this game all day. I'm okay with this. I won't rest till the supports have 1,000 ability power.
These guys are gonna have hopefully a break after this one. It's gonna be exhausting for them through the rest of Super Week.
So if Doublelift didn't have enough cleanses, Chouster picked up Mikhail's Crucible.
Yeah, we almost never see that item. So Chouster gets used on him as Doublelift gets engaged on. Here's another one.
Another battle starts up. The battle lines have been drawn, though. The wall of pain off. Scar in the front, forced to Zonia's. Link taking a bunch of pain, a great crescendo. And here comes Kiwi Kid. Can he get in for the damage? A beautiful Zonia's actually dodges
down.
Requiem. So much damage coming across. Take the top, wiping the floor potentially. Neon Tonso is going to Zonia's, though, and pick up a kill. It's now actually 3-on-2. The game is still going. Crumbs looks for damage on Neon, but the shield is there. Big Fat LP, no health. Can they turn this one around? Crumbs taking damage. Neon Tonso making that fight happen. Only Patoy is alive. This could be CLG winning.
It could be the last straw there. Patoy does not have enough damage to repel them. Neon Tonso, Big Fat, very low. Chouster still alive. They need to clear inhibitors, though. Oh my god, maybe he does have enough damage to clear him off. This looks like it's CLG's moment.
The Mikhail's heal keeping Big Fat LP pretty healthy right there. It's Patoy. Has to buy 40 seconds somehow, but there's no inhibitors out. They're only spawning regular minions, and here comes the damage on the Nexus. There's so much pain. Neon Tonso is gonna take down the Nexus, and CLG in 71 minutes finally pulls it out.
Oh my god. if anything could have been even a little different in that game, we never would have seen a 71-minute and 15-second game. That is the longest game in LCS history as far as I know.
Yeah.
So that we'll see how long that record stands for us. And two teams could not be better suited to have this one. Such a long rivalry between CLG and Dignitas. Welcome to CLG and the rivalry Niantanso, because that was quite a game.
And you just look at the focus is still there for the Dignitas guy. You know, Scar has said, you know, I like playing against these guys, I like to win against these guys. They're just like standing there almost stunned, right? They're not even like ready to shake hands right there. Just like, guys, it's over. Like,
you gotta like get up
down.
and walk around after sitting in one place for 71 minutes. Like that's, you gotta be careful about those things. Holy crap.
Oh my gosh, so the smile on the CLG faces. Of course, a well-deserved victory right there. I think every single one of them, you know, for all the doubts people had coming in with a new lineup, new to the roles, they finally pulled out. And I mean, even Niantanso, who had that rough lane, ended 11-5-12.
Yeah, he came in big time in the last like 50 minutes of that game because the lane phase ended at about 20, and then it ended the whole game at 71. Cycling items through, kind of a glass can in the lease, is an interesting strategy to pull in, but it worked out really well for them.
So we do have a replay, though, of that last fight.
Why not?
The items cycled through, the different builds came in. Let's look at it again.
Yeah, and this was a hard initiate by Dignitas, and the story of the game really was them initiating but having Crumbs not being effective with it. You can see how little damage that ended up doing. Yes, they landed a good crescendo, and actually when they got double lift, they kind of thought they'd have this fight, but the spot that Link died in near the top of the screen, when Dignitas tried to run through that, got them a little bit too low. And there were so many Zonya's hourglasses that went off. Since I'm a Cutie Pie had fallen as well, there was no damage to repel everyone. And really, at the end of the day, we were noticing that Patoy went very defensive in his build for Sona because of all the ambient damage that was being done. But if he would have potentially put together like a more damaging Sona, maybe he could have extended the game a little bit. I actually thought he was going to go back to base, buy a bunch of AP items, and then try to kill CLG, but it wasn't to be. That was still too great of a game.
Yeah, the Spell Shield's just enough there from Big Bad to keep him alive. Spell Shield, a couple of those power chords at the end there. Guys, coming up, Counter Logic Gaming's Double Lift will join us to talk about the record-breaking win. And then it's our third game of the day. We're not even done when Cloud9 and Meteos take on Curse and Edward. Stick around because there's tons more Summer Split action coming up right after this.